Hello and welcome to yet another interesting episode on Tek Tok Thursdays by Impact. Every startup has a new story to tell, a new approach to redefine businesses, and a new mindset to engage with their audience. User Vision is one such startup that combines technology with its contemporary approach to provide engineered, qualitative insights that are grounded in data. Today, we have with us Batukhan Taluy, the founder of User Vision, a platform based in Turkey which helps brands to acquire agile, implicit, explicit, and subconscious insights from their target audience leveraging AI. Without further ado, let's get started. Hello, Batukhan. How are you doing?
Very well, Sunithya. Hope everything is also going well in Bahrain.
It's amazing in Bahrain, actually. Um,
Great.
Batukhan, so let's get started. So, User Vision helps a business to understand their customers with AI powered insights. How does User Vision provide an end to end platform for brands and agencies to tap into the minds of their audience without any hassle?
Sure. So essentially, what User Vision's platform enables for brands or agencies. We help them to have direct interactions with their target audience. So it is possible to click just a few buttons and hear the consumer's voice. So in today's fast-paced world, it doesn't make sense to only check in with the consumers once in a while. Brands need to constantly be in touch with them in order to adapt quickly and be competitive. So the traditional research approach doesn't support agile philosophy, and they were not born in the digital era. So conversation in a world where conversations with the consumers is the key. You need agile insights. You need to talk with your consumers in an agile manner. And while making the consumer accessible to brands, of course, as you mentioned earlier, user vision also uses artificial intelligence to make the analysis fast and accurate. So our AI, our artificial intelligence powered insights minimize the human involvement in the analysis, hence the room for error.
Perfect. So, but again, businesses can select their audience, choose their tool, and explore the results using User Vision. So, how does the platform work?
So in essence, our platform consists of four different steps in total. So first, you can pick your target audience. And in the back end, we use many different methodologies to find the right audience to capture insights from. But we oftentimes use the digital footprints of the consumers and public data on the web to programmatically reach out to highly targeted behavioral consumer segments instead of simply relying on demographic data or what the consumers depict who they are. So, and after you get an instant quote from us, according to which research methodology that you're going to use or which target consumer that you're targeting, trying to get insights from, yeah, you just basically get an instant quote from us, and you can conduct in-depth interviews, remote, mobile, or web UX research in less than a week. So, or either you can conduct the interviews or you can ask our moderation. And in the third step, we analyze this data with artificial intelligence algorithms and leverage our published frameworks to capture the deepest insights that we can through our platform. And lastly, we store all this data to an insight library where brands could simply research, iterate, and build the insights upon.
Oh, that's great, actually. So, why do you think enterprise companies must leverage agile insights and AI to rethink their business? Also, for the audience, can you simplify and explain the concept of AI in this context, as it seems to be a buzzword that the startup world uses very frequently?
Sure. So agile is not just a framework, but it's a mindset. So when you divide your operation into sprints in digestible bites, let's say, you converge toward the truth with every sprint, right? So you are more fluid and lean like water. But if you go with conventional ways, then there's a huge possibility that you spend a lot of money and acquire information which is relevant for you, for the company, but it is irrelevant. It can be irrelevant for the customers, right? So this is what other companies do. This is what traditional methodologies do. You ask the same questions, you get the same answers. So you have no competitive advantage. And we are here to change that with the agile methodology. And I think you asked the second question about the artificial intelligence. Yes, Artificial intelligence is quite a buzzword nowadays. And let me answer the question in a way that explains what we do more clearly. So when we talk about artificial intelligence, we are mostly talking about machine learning algorithms. So where we feed machines, we feed computers with so much information over a specific topic. It's not a generalized artificial intelligence per se, but we feed information over a certain specific topic that machines, these computers, are able to understand how we as humans make decisions, and they can make those decisions themselves. So in our case, we capture qualitative intelligence from consumers from a digital platform. So we utilize artificial intelligence to create transcripts from all the data, so that all the data that we capture from the consumers, all that interactions, all the voice of the customer, what we hear from the customer, and we create transcripts from that data so that they could be analyzed. Then we use semi-automated algorithms to create automated patterns out of this data. That's where we use AI to create these actionable patterns. And finally, we use regression algorithms, which is very similar to what you have in traditional Excel sheets. And we create patterns out of this data, this clustered data, these clustered patterns, these clustered motivations of consumers. And ultimately, that's how we reveal faster and deeper insights for the brands that we work with.
So, but again, I think a lot of companies provide insights to businesses, helping them target their audience better. So, how different is user vision, and does it only provide demographic insights or behavioral insights as well?
So yeah, it's that's actually how we compete with how we differentiate ourselves with other traditional methodologies also. So this is where streamlining the process kicks in, right? So as we can find highly targeted behavioral audiences through data, and our algorithms helps us to reveal deeper insights. It just provides deeper, not just demographic, but behavioral insights. So if you go to a traditional company, this is how they code the data manually. They use manual labor to create these patterns, and after they create these patterns, they just put it in a way that they can analyze the data. How you analyze data is like you just click male, female, age group, demographic data, and you try to see clusters. But as we have all this data digitized and clustered in a single platform, we can just click a button, and artificial intelligence could automatically create patterns not just limited to demographic data, but it can just find patterns in different areas, in different behavioral areas. For example, we were working with this chewing gum brand in Turkey, and we realized that the behavior, I mean, they were trying to target this demographic data, like young audience who is trying to chew gum in a more um, who belong to a more socioeconomically a lower class people. But what we realized is people were chewing gum in public transportation because it's hot, it's smelly, and when you chew a gum which is fresh, you create a freshness bubble among your head, and people try to and they think they are more clean when they chew a gum in public transportation. That's the insight that we gathered. Interesting, right? And this
Really
is a
interesting.
and this is a behavioral cluster instead of a demographic cluster, right? Because millions of consumers actually use public transportation. It's not a niche cluster, but it's a habit that millions of people does. And when we reveal this to our client, then they could create more interactive, more targeted, more human-centric action. They can take more human-centric actions to reach out to that customer segment and even change their branding. So streamlining the process, it makes it faster, but also it makes it it helps you to get more deeper, more nuanced, more human-centric insights by allowing agile research to happen.
Well, so, but again, how has this pandemic impacted user vision? Like, do you reckon that more business would now need to use this agile approach?
So if we look past couple of months, so before pandemic, any business who would like to differentiate in a highly competitive market should use these agile approaches, as without understanding the world from their consumers' shoes, their perspective, they can't be competitive. right? So even before the pandemic era, it was really important so that these brands could differentiate themselves. But after the pandemic, this is even more crucial because crisis leads to habit changes, and consumers are more prone to change the brands that they work with right now in a crisis era, because they don't have to be afraid to get out of their comfort zone because they are already out of their comfort zone, right? They are already out there without all the communication efforts, without all the brand cacophony, which we can say that they hear all around the world. So now it's the time for brands to talk, to get into their consumers' minds, and this could only happen if they understand their consumers more truly. So considering our business, at first brands stopped spending any money on marketing to assess the situation, at least in Turkey and several international markets that we work with. But nowadays, they realized how important it is to understand their customers and their changing needs before another brand actually poaches them. As we are providing remote insights for 5 years, we have developed a certain expertise, and that expertise is currently high on demand. So right now, like at this instance, for like past couple of weeks, the business is getting well, I can say.
Perfect. So, Batukhan, have you explored the Middle East market yet for user vision? As you may imagine, our audience base for this interview is substantially from the Middle East.
Yeah.
So, do you have any special message for them?
So when I was in the Middle East, I was actually in Bahrain. I realized that there's a huge potential for user vision in the Middle East and also North Africa region, so the MENA region. We are working with one of the big FMCGs in North Africa, in Nigeria. And what I realized is big research providers like these big international companies that came from Europe or the States, they don't understand the cultural aspects really well while doing the research. And it's all about culture. It's all about understanding your consumers, right? So I think there's a huge opportunity for us in the Middle East. But we are not actively but passively trying to get some more presence in the Middle East, and trying to acquire maybe our first big enterprise clients through our network and our partner organizations. But as we are doing currently this interview with you guys, what we can do at this instant for any brand who is willing to work with us and listen to us in the Middle East, we can provide a comprehensive free research strategy consultancy for anyone who listened to this conversation, which they can use even without using your platform. So it will just be a streamlined guide that they can use even for startups to understand the mindset of their consumers. And additionally, for the first 5 listeners who reach us, will get a 20% discount from the whole research that we do if they're willing to work with us. So you can reach us through our website www.uservision. There's not no com, it's user.vision, or info@user.vision, or using my name Batukhan at user.vision.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, Batukhan, for engaging us with us today. Also, a big thank you to our audience. If you are an entrepreneur who wants to address and solve real and specific problems, do let us know in the comment section. Then stay safe and keep watching Tech Talk Thursdays by Impact. Thank you.